not obey the laws of physics at all.
Look, kid, there's a lot going on here that you don't understand.
Stark said you'd say that. Wow. He also said to go for your legs.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe has redefined the way viewers approach big-budget movie releases. Smartly adapting a philosophy which worked well in the comics, it created a living, breathing world for superheroes to populate, meet up, and fight common enemies in. It also created an unprecedented sense of momentum by constantly teasing the next big thing, a tactic also borrowed from Marvel Comics, whose storylines crossed into various titles. And while the MCU may have only existed for roughly half of Rotten Tomatoes' lifespan, it has created its fair share of memorable moments. So with that in mind, we're counting down the best moments in the MCU you will never forget.
Stop.
Of course, narrowing down the list was a bit of a challenge. There are over 20 MCU films, with more coming out every year, most of which are filled with a ton of memorable moments. So we tried to choose those that were not just memorable, but which also showed how the MCU was working differently than other franchises, using surprise twists and scenes that push the universe in different directions. And we tried to share the love among the different titles. I mean, there are just too many moments to choose from that it's hard to narrow it down. So we're strictly focusing on phases 1 through 3, just to keep things simple. Phase 4 and beyond are sure to have plenty of moments to talk about, so maybe we'll revisit that one day. And we'll be going over key plot details about nearly every MCU movie, so consider this your official spoiler warning.
I live for the simple things, like how much this is gonna hurt. Yeah, right, little man.
And just like that, with the snap of our fingers, we're ready to count down the biggest and best moments in the MCU. Starting with number 10, Doctor Strange Dormammu Bargain. If there is one long-standing criticism of Marvel movies, it is their habit of pitting the heroes against dark mirror versions of themselves, particularly in their origin movies. Doctor Strange confronted this critique by having Stephen Strange lock his ultimate adversary, the trans-dimensional death cloud Dormammu, in a time loop and bargaining with the entity to spare the Earth. Now that clever and innovative resolution is one we never stop citing as an MCU highlight.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
You've come to die. Your world is now mine. What is this? Illusion.
No, this is real. Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
What is happening?
Just as you gave Caecilius powers from your dimension, I brought a little power from mine. This is time. Endless, looped time. Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
You cannot do this forever.
Actually, I can. This is how things are now. You and me, trapped in this moment, endlessly.
Then you will spend eternity dying.
Yes. But everyone on Earth will live.
But you will suffer.
Pain's an old friend.
Number 9, Captain Marvel Rises. In a film that reverses the traditional superhero origin arc, Carol discovers that the power was within her all along. Casting off the limiter tech that the Kree told her was the source of her abilities, she ignites with power. So for anyone who grew up and were told that their innate skills were personality flaws, the moment resonates and sets Carol apart as one of the mightiest, if not the mightiest, Avenger.
return to the jump point. We'll be back for the weapon.
The core.
The woman.
Number 8, Guardians of the Galaxy, We Are Groot. Now, we've heard Groot speak his only phrase throughout the entire film, I am Groot. But everyone's favorite talking tree has a pivotal moment in the final act of Guardians of the Galaxy. At a desperate point for the group, Groot sacrifices himself to save his friends. And as Rocket tries to stop him, Groot's vocabulary changes ever so slightly. And if you didn't cry during this part, I am convinced you officially have no soul.
No, Groot. You can't. You'll die. Why are you doing this? Why?
We are Groot.
Number 7, The Avengers, Battle of New York. And yet, if there is one most memorable and most defining moment, it is the pan across a destroyed New York street, revealing the Avengers assembled for the first time in common purpose. The entire film, and the 5 films preceding it, lead up to this moment, in which 6 superheroes shared the screen and proved that this crazy idea of an interconnected lattice work of film franchises could work. It also helps that it is a kick-ass shot uniting the film's key theme with all the expectations outside of the narrative. The Avengers can work together, and so can all these stars in different interests. We wouldn't be at Endgame without this memorable moment. Number 6, Avengers Age of Ultron, the MJÖLNIR contest. This marvelous moment shows a different side of the Avengers. After winding down from post-Hydra defeat party, the Avengers gather together with drinks and a few good laughs. When Hawkeye questions the magic behind Thor's hammer, the others join in to try and lift the magical weapon. While no one is successful, one Avenger comes very close, almost putting Thor in a panic. A brief scare, sure, but we all know who's truly worthy amongst the Avengers crew.
Never one to shrink from an honest challenge.
Get after it.
It's physics. Right, so if I lift it, I then rule Asgard?
Yes, of course.
I will be reinstituting Prima Nocta. Be right back.
Are you even pulling? Are you on my team? Just represent, pull.
All right, let's go.
Go, Steve, no pressure.
Come on, Cap.
Nothing.
And? Widow?
Oh, no, that's not a question I need answered.
All deference to the man who wouldn't be king, but it's rigged.
You bet your
Steve, you said a bad language word.
Did you tell everyone about
The
that?
handle's imprinted, right? Like a security code. Whosoever is carrying Thor's fingerprints is, I think, the literal translation.
Yes, you know, that's a very, very interesting theory. I have a simpler one. You're all not worthy.
Number 5, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, the elevator fight. Now, Marvel knew they had a winner in this scene, and it featured heavily in the trailers. While the fight is one of the most accomplished in any of the Marvel movies, it continues to resonate because Steve Rogers gave the Hydra agents a choice. Now, for all the impressive battle choreography that we've seen, the scene is still about Steve's inherent sense of goodness and fair play, and that he can survive a multi-story fall.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Mobilize strike units, 25th floor.
Whoa, big guy. I just want you to know, Cap. It's impersonal! It kind of feels personal.
Number 4, Captain America Civil War Airport Battle. A good Marvel team-up generally sees the heroes fight among themselves before joining forces against a common foe. And in the larger MCU Infinity Saga, this is that moment. Filled with amazing action, great jokes, and Peter Parker's debut as the MCU Spider-Man, it is the most memorable Marvel fight yet committed to screen. I mean, sure, it does bring the movie to a halt, but it is so worth it just to see Peter inadvertently age shame the rest of the Avengers.
What do we do, Cap?
We fight.
This is gonna end well.
They're not stopping.
Neither are we.
We're still friends, right?
Depends on how hard you hit me.
You're pulling your punches.
I didn't kill your father.
Then why did you run?
3, Black Panther, Killmonger's death. Black Panther eventually turns Killmonger into a dark mirror version of T'Challa, but it does it in the service of something so powerful, raw, and genuinely startling for any film that it deserves special recognition. A defeated Killmonger refuses aid, but makes one request: bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships because they knew death was better than bondage. Now that statement and the history bursting from it leaves all who hear it shaken to their core.
It's beautiful. Maybe we can still heal you.
Why? So you could just lock me up? Nah. Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships. Because they knew death was better than bondage.
Number 2, Avengers Endgame, Avengers Assemble. At possibly the darkest moment for the Avengers, all hope seems lost. The Avengers are scattered beneath the rubble of their base, Thanos calls for the rest of his army, and standing in his way is an injured Captain America with a broken shield. Cap is ready to fight the army solo until he hears a familiar voice. What follows is hands down one of the greatest moments in the MCU. Hundreds of portals, every Marvel hero you can think of, and an iconic phrase that kicks off the final battle with Thanos and his army.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Number 1, here are some honorable mentions. Avengers Infinity War, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Every loss in Infinity War hits people differently, but none captured the collective feels of fans quite like Peter's final moment with Tony. It all begins with that line, and some fans have theorized that his spider sense gave him early warning about his own demise, making the scene all the more wrenching upon second viewing. Additionally, it's the ultimate expression of Tony's failure. He spent movies trying to save the world in general, and Peter in particular. Even when Peter inevitably returns, we expect that this scene will always make people cry.
Tony. There was no other way.
Mr. Stark? I don't feel so good.
You're all right.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know. Hey.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go, sir. Please. Please, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Sorry. He did it.
Avengers Infinity War, she's not alone. In terms of iconic and surprising team-ups, we often think of key male combos like Thor and Rocket, but Infinity War features a killer battle between Proxima Midnight and the combined might of Okoye, Scarlet Witch, and Black Widow. All fight fiercely, but it's Nat's declaration, she's not alone, when Proxima first threatens Wanda that keeps this epic Wakanda battle in our minds.
On my way.
He'll die alone, as will you.
She's not alone.
That's really gross.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, The Watcher. While all of the late Stan Lee cameos are memorable, we choose to single out this goofball Volume 2 moment because it gives all of his scenes a context. Lee's appearances throughout the MCU were all manifestations of a Watcher, cosmic entities who literally watch events unfold across the universe without interfering. It gives each jokey walk-on an added and heartwarming meaning.
Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, at that time, I was a Federal Express man. Hey, wait, where are you going? Hey, you were supposed to be my lift home. How'll I get out of here? Hey, gee, I've got so many more stories to tell. Guys, gee.
And finally, number 1, Avengers Endgame, I Am Iron Man. The battle with Thanos is nearly ended and retains the gauntlet with all 6 stones attached. But the last person in his way is Iron Man himself, and he refuses to give up the gauntlet and the stones. After a brief moment with Doctor Strange, Tony finally realizes what he must do. He eventually obtains the stones and snaps his own fingers, turning Thanos' quest against him. But before the snap, Stark says his final words, a moment that mirrors the ending of the first Iron Man film and something we all will never forget. Tony Stark, we love you 3000.
I am inevitable.
Well, friends, that about does it for us. Be sure to stay tuned to the Rotten Tomatoes channel for more of the entertainment content that you love. And until next time, I'm your host, Naz Perez, and we'll see you back here for more Top 10s on the Rotten Tomatoes Countdown.